A small plane takes off again and again and again, each second in the air, promising more money. But when it disappears, everything is lost. In a somewhat dark symbolism, it all flies away into the abyss of loss. Aviator, a game that is today in Kenya pulling thousands into a cycle of hope, then sudden loss. In Kenya and around the world today, gambling has moved from smoky casinos to the palm of your hands. With just a smartphone and a few shillings, literally anyone can place a bet and in seconds. But behind this convenience is a growing addiction, one that is quietly draining livelihoods. For Mwas, a name we have given him to shield his identity owing to the sensitivities around the matter at hand, it started like it does for many, with curiosity and the desire and promise of quick money. But it ended in silence and a letter he said he never thought he would ever write.
Siku moja nilimedi nikaandikia wazazi wangu suicide note.
At the time, he had been spending uncontrollably on Aviator. He felt he needed that fix and he wanted it no matter the cost.
Natumia Aviator sana. Ndio nilijiintroduce nayo. Well, niliintroduce nayo na rafiki yangu, alinionyesha alikuwa na bet de fulani. Kacheki amepata some good winnings. Nikafikiria let me have try. One thing led to another, nikajipata I'm hooked on it. Kila time najipata niko na tu shilingi kadhaa tu chum kiasi nazirusha huko na try ku get a few wins and stuff. Mara mob ilikuwa poa, mara kadhaa ilikuwa poa, mara mob ilikuwa mbaya. I've lost more than I've won. Relationships kadhaa, nimekona watu wengi, nimekuwa mtu mwongo. Man, nilitry ku stop on my own, but unapata from time to time unapata madheo mzae amewacha tu chingri mahali napita nazo naingiza Aviator nikisema let me try and win and then I'll reimburse them. Zinaenda zote zinakunywa maji, najipata nimewakosea pia hao wamejam na feel umeanza kujiisolate from them juu nasikia aibu kuwa patana na wao na nimechumia do zao. Unaona, nikafeel kama nawaangusha wao wenyewe. Plus pia nikafeel najiangusha cause siwezi face my own parents, nitajiface aje? Nilikuwa na work for my folks all the time, so napata ile kitu kiasi napata narusha hapo pocket money ya kwenda chuo kali nilikuwa nimeget yote nairusha kwa hewa kwa kandege kanaenda.
Before long, he began playing through the night, placing bets repeatedly and spending and losing a lot of money. He says that at a point, he willingly handed over his phone to his girlfriend amid a heated argument where she threatened to leave him for, quote, always being broke. His was a situation that had the hallmarks of addiction and desperation.
Man, umepata kama nimekopa do, wananiita kuwarudisha hiyo do sina. Juu nikipata shilingi kiasi nimezirudisha huko, so napata marafiki wangu wengi tumewacha kuongea juu niko na pesa zangu sina venye naweza waambia sina at the moment juu walikuwa wanajua niko na hiyo do. Kwa sana kwa strange na wazae.
At his parents' business, Mwas once lost 40,000 shillings, which was meant to buy stock, and that is how they found out. But by that time, he had just discovered Aviator and was constantly on his phone. When they found out about the theft, Mwas's parents took him for counseling, but he still continued betting secretly. Still, they stayed in the ring, fighting to help him break free of the chains. And More recently, they took him to yet another rehabilitation facility that handles addicts, Resolution Recovery Center. Mwas is now on a 3-month program which he and his family hope will help him address and overcome his gambling addiction. What begins as a game often spirals into something much darker. For many young people, the losses are not just financial. They are emotional, psychological, and deeply personal. So how does it begin?
I have seen people with even 300,000 in their account. They even showing me, Chris, I have 340,000. Please tell me just to withdraw. I'm telling them, then withdraw and stop. And let me just play one more. The moment they play that one more is when they lose everything. So you have heard of people losing 400,000 in a minute, people losing their whole pension in a minute. That is what Aviator is. It's a game that is a high risk. It promises rewards instantly, and then there's a catch, and you see it on TV. They tell you, you don't need any skills. Anyone can play. A mother, an old woman in Kakamega, an old man in Nyeri, anyone can become a pilot. They call them pilot.
While some of the initial testimonials are born of real wins, which encourage participants to bet more and more, some, as Crispus says, are facades. Crispus Githai Kimaru is an addiction counselor and a former betting addict. While there's limited local data on when gambling addiction begins, Kimaru says many addicts place their first bets in high school or college and university.
The largest number, like you said, is of players of this Aviator. They are young. They are young university students, even high school students, and they need money. They need money to maybe live a certain kind of lifestyle that they are seeing on social media. They want to be in bashes, in birthday parties, in pool parties, and Aviator promises that. And it's not a young man's problem. Of course, the youth, because of their exposure to digital platforms, they have WhatsApp, they have all these, they have WhatsApp groups for Aviator, they have Facebook pages for Aviator, they have TikTok pages for Aviator. They are more prone, or they are more predisposed to get addicted.
Kenya is grappling with a deeply concerning situation of joblessness among the youth. The unemployment rate currently stands at 26% according to data from KNBS, yet the cost of living keeps soaring every year. Experts say that in such a tough economy, the promise of quick money can be hard to resist.
That unemployment is a huge contributing factor to people betting. Yes, if you don't have money, if you don't have a source of income, the little money that you have, you want to try to triple it, to quadruple it. So then I think that in that way, it can directly influence the likelihood of betting. But what we miss in today's society is the fact that betting and gambling has been glamorized. It's been glamorized. You see it in your face everywhere. You see it on billboards, you see it on adverts, you see it in the halftime show of your favorite sport competition. So it's been glamorized. We've normalized something that is very addictive. So we've made it very easy for people to do it, and we've made it okay for people to actually do it. We find that societies that struggle economically tend to also produce the most number of gamblers. And there's more gamblers in third world countries than developed countries.
Harrison Irungu's story shows just how far the addiction can go. During his gambling days, Irungu lost his wife, his job, and a blossoming career in accounting.
I was living in Mombasa in a bedsitter. But then, and my wife, I think she was pregnant, and she was pressuring me that we need to move out to a bigger house because our firstborn is coming. And I've betted 500 shillings, 121,000. And that was the beginning of my problems.
At the time, Irungu had just returned from a second 3-month program in rehab over alcohol addiction and was determined to stay away from the vice even as he battled other storms.
I still had some other issues that I was dealing with and somebody introduced me to gambling. And I remember the first time I bet with around 500 shillings, my first bet, and I placed a game of 14, 1.5 and 1.5. And out of the 500 shillings, I won around 21,000. And I was so happy. And I remember then I was married, and I even told my wife that okay, every day you're disturbing is we shift to a bigger house. Here's the money.
He got into a win-lose situation. He won one fight by giving up the bottle, but he lost another battle and picked up a new vice.
I remember my wife used to peep me this and he says that, hey, what are you doing at night? Are you having a mpango account? And then, this guy is still in betting. And she leave me alone. And she thought I was making money. But I had hidden her the losses that I had accrued. And I remember many times I was even holding my son. I remember holding my son with one hand. The other hand is on the phone looking for bets. I wake up in the morning by 5, I'm awake looking for early games to bet.
This Aviator flight was going down for Irungu. His turbulent situation was getting worse and about to take a plunge.
I had a debt of 1.2 million. This money I've taken from the bank. And accountants were very clever. I used to hide it from here and all that. So the auditors came on Monday and the money is not there. What do you do? Imagine I got arrested because there was no money. And luckily, I was taken to the police station and I was being asked, Harrison, where is the money for 1.2 million? You can't trace it. And for honestly, by that time, I could not know where this money is. I wouldn't know where this money is. But I remember one of the detectives asked me, I don't know, can I see your phone? And he told me, here is your money, through the messages.
He was fired. It was tough. He says his life was in the pits, and instead of learning from the experience, he picked up his bottle in a relapse of alcohol abuse. Then, because he felt his life was shackled by a chain of burnt bets, he gambled even more. Eventually, his wife left him, and he moved back to his parents' home in Nakuru. In 2020, he was found trying to sell his brother's laptop, which he had stolen. The darkness of addiction was clear to see. He admitted being powerless and was taken to rehab for a third time.
So I had only two options. Harrison, choose police station or rehab, which was the easier target. I decided to go for rehab. And when I went to rehab, I stayed there for 3 months. So when I was in the rehab, something happened. After staying away from the slot machines, after staying away from my phone, because most of the time I used to bet through my phone, those betting sites, all of them on my phone and all that, I realized that I was having a peace of mind. I'm not having anxieties, I'm not having those shivers, I'm doing well, I'm not feeling like touching my phone and all that, because of course in the rehab you don't have phones. That's when it hit me that I have peace when I'm not betting. And I decided to do a thorough audit of myself.
After the 3 months, Irungu stayed on at the facility as he had developed an interest in psychology. He later enrolled for a diploma in counseling psychology and followed it up with a master's degree in addiction counseling. It was a new journey for him. Instead of drowning his sorrows in alcohol, he chose to drown the urges and underlying issues in positive engagements. Instead of placing bets and gambling his money, dignity, and wellness away, he invested himself in wellness. He began his journey as a counselor, and according to him, alcohol and gambling addictions are all the same.
Your brain does not know that you're gambling. Your brain only knows that you are engaging in a compulsive behavior. So the same changes will also be experienced when you're watching pornography excessively and also using your phone to an excessive degree.
At its worst, gambling can push people into decisions they never imagined. Lying, stealing, even losing the people closest to them. But what happens inside the mind of a gambling addict?
What gambling and drugs do is that they elicit an abnormal amount of release of dopamine into the ventrum striatum. So when you keep doing that over and over and over again, over time, your body is going to, or your mind is going to get used to the abnormal amounts of dopamine that get released when you're gambling, to the extent that other natural pleasures are going to cease to be as exciting as they used to be. So it wears down what you call the pleasure system of the brain. It becomes less, and other normal pleasures of life become less exciting. So that's why you find that people who are addicted to gambling may spend less time with their family members. They may not have the motivation to study. They may not have any motivation to do important things because their pleasure system is completely hijacked. Mobile phones themselves, even remove the gambling, are addictive in themselves. So everybody is also at risk of getting addicted to gambling because of the fact that it mimics the scarcity loop. These gambling sites, they're brilliant because they understand the human brain, the kind of colors that they choose for their sites, the kind of sounds that they use and every time you place a bet or every time maybe there's a congratulation text, it's tailor-made to keep you excited and to keep you going, because that's how they make the money. You're basically a pawn in a little game of chess that they play. And even sometimes when you lose, they will still congratulate you. You've placed a bet of 1,000 shillings, but your winning was 550 shillings. They will still say, congratulations, you've won 550 shillings. So these are what we call losses disguised as wins.
Gambling companies, by law, they are required to have counselors or hotline numbers where clients can call, where their let me call it, their customers can call. And these customers will call the betting site and ask, by the way, I have so much problem, I want to be refunded money. Those counselors, they will see how they will see how they have the assessment to the site, to the betting site and all that. They will see how customers are losing money. That counselor is supposed to call that customer and ask him, I can see you started maybe by betting 500 shillings. I have seen now that you are now betting 50,000, 100,000. I can see that you are losing money daily. Is there a way that you can assist you? But that is not the case. That is not the case for betting sites. Betting sites, when you stop betting, they will call you. Harrison, what happened to you? Nowadays, we are not seeing you betting. Nowadays, we are not doing this. And they will even entice you. I remember one betting site, let me not say the name. On Monday, they used to send me 1,200 shillings every Monday.
Eventually, according to Crispus, the addiction gets to a place where winning and losing feel the same.
It gets to a point where you're not playing to win. Whether you win or lose, it's all the same. So you see somebody winning, losing 40,000. It's like they have lost 20 shillings, dropped 20 shillings. Because it's in the brain, it's no longer about the winning. It's just about the playing. The playing is where they are getting the dopamine rush. And then there's what I mentioned, the anticipatory dopamine.
Another thing that keeps the addiction's grip even firmer is gambler's fallacy.
Gambler's fallacy is where the gamblers think that they can predict the future using past events. And they will go maybe, maybe it's a game being played for Manchester and Arsenal, and they think that they can predict what will be the outcome between a Manchester United and an Arsenal game based on the past. This is why you'll see surprises, and that is how depression even sets in, because you have spent your time looking at how the past events were, but the game, when the games comes, definitely you'll get different results, maybe based on the players who are there, away and home games and all that, and that explains why many gamblers lose a lot of money.
Not everyone who gambles becomes addicted. Like most forms of addiction, some people are more exposed than others. Whether one gets addicted or not depends on several factors, including personality, genetics, and the immediate environment.
There are people who used to gamble, and these are the ones who say they are responsible gamblers. They stake what they can lose, what they don't mind losing. So if they have 100,000 in the morning, and maybe they won 200,000 yesterday, their 100,000 shillings is nothing to them, and they know they can lose. And when they lose, there's no emotion, so they just stop. There are so many factors that contribute to maybe one getting addicted, and some of them are biological. Some of them have to do with your personality. There are personalities where people are just impulsive, like for instance, myself, I have an impulsive personality. I want things done and instantly, and people like those get addicted very quickly. There are people with a genetic predisposition to addiction, for instance, and that has to do with their DNA or composition and all that. That applies to even gambling and any other addiction. The environment also, the environment you've grown up in or where you are can also contribute. For instance, the way our youth are so exposed to these gambling adverts and the promises of making money and all that. The older generation, for instance, millennials, we didn't have that. We didn't even know what gambling is. There was only charity sweepstake, and who would even play that?
There are people who are at a much higher level of risk than others, and they tend to be people who already have an underlying psychological condition. I'll give you an example of a condition known as attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. Because of their high risk, because of their affinity for high risk taking, they might be more likely to get into high stress inducing situation or sensation seeking activities, and that might make them tilt towards gambling. We also find that maybe an overrepresentation of very open-minded people in gambling. So people who tend to be more open-minded, which for some reason is also highly associated with high intelligence, would be much more likely to resort to gambling rather than people who are less open-minded. But again, gender, there's also gender differences in gambling. Boys and men are much more likely to be addicted.
If you look at, for instance, my phone, most of these people who come to us as counselors, they tell us, nimefika mwisho. Mi najua. If you don't help me, I'm killing myself. And of course, we have seen people dying by suicide, attempting even suicide, because they are at the end. So yes, I would agree. Even if we don't have statistics yet, just by what we have in the media, there is a close link between gambling addiction, and especially Aviator addiction, and suicide, because we have seen so many students doing it. We have even seen older people even dying by suicide. Yeah, so there is a link.
The Association of Gaming Operators of Kenya says betting should be purely for entertainment. And while they acknowledge that gambling can cause harm, they say that responsible gambling is a multi-pronged approach involving individuals, industry players, and policymakers.
Betting is purely entertainment. It is not an end to financial means. It's not a financial conversation where you're thinking, I need to make a profit. This is how I'm going to meet my obligation. No. This is purely an entertainment conversation, and we must make sure that people understand that, so that then the conversation is sustained in a way that it makes sense to both the punter and to the operator. We actually ran a responsible gambling campaign on radio, on TV, and on social media. This was in response to the recognition that, yes, we do see and understand that we do have a problem. That whole responsible gambling campaign was actually given a name. We call it Chukua Control.
Indeed, betting companies are the biggest sponsors of local sports, as they support several teams and even pump money into top-flight leagues in football and rugby.
What a start this is. Oh, he's got so much pace.
They also engage in corporate social responsibility activities in schools and villages and other social spaces. But the impact that their businesses hit society leaves a lot to desire and many questions. With the gambling games being fashioned to encourage one to keep the bets going and encouraging them all the more to a point of addiction, which tools exist to ensure that bettors engage responsibly? And how realistic and effective are they?
You can actually walk right to them. You can actually call them and say, I know I have a problem. I feel I have a problem. Can I be excluded, from your betting site? For each betting company, you can actually ask for self-exclusion. Even within every betting site, there are tools and there's customer service, because one of the requirements is that you must have a customer service channel team, either online by phone or chat, and that is one of the things that the customer service people are trained on. That they are able to respond when somebody sends out a message and says, I have a problem. It is their responsibility to ensure that that is handled immediately. In fact, most of the members on their own also have programs where they've partnered with other bodies they're actually able to provide now further help or assistance if professional help is required. You can actually take a time break. You can actually set a betting limit. Say I only want to spend X amount of money, and once that is done, that is exhausted, then you're not able to put anything, beyond that. You're not able to bet beyond that. You can also set a limit and say, I'm taking a break, and I want to take a break for 6 months. For you to participate in online gaming, you need to have a mobile money wallet. Now, that mobile money wallet, you will not be able to get it if you do not register as an adult, if you do not have an ID for you to be able to have access to a mobile money wallet. And those are some of the safeguards that ensure, that children are not allowed. Number 3 is when it comes to something like advertising, all adverts that emanate from gaming companies, you will see they still carry that 18 plus content. They've got to go through the KFCB checks, and also the regulator has issued some very clear guidelines on how the advertising will be done, so that we're even looking at, you cannot advertise, between up before, from I think 6 in the morning up to 10 p.m. in the evening.
Help is available. Help is plenty and available. You might think that it's hard for you to do it probably because you've tried to do it alone. Don't do it alone. And one of the things, something very similar between porn and gambling addiction is that they thrive on secrecy. They thrive on isolating you as an individual and making you think and feel like you're alone. Because there's a lot of shame with revealing that. So I think by just sharing with a person, with a close friend, going to see a therapist, going to see a psychologist will automatically just start the process of you getting the help that you need.
Betting can be entertaining, but it can also be hugely harmful. Experts say individuals have a responsibility to know their limits, but betting companies also have a duty to create safe systems, and the regulators must ensure that the law is followed end to the letter. It is a tricky balance between individuals, the state, and the industry. The question is everyone doing enough? Celestine Olilo, NTV.